All right, as we're continuing with proving angle relationships, we've picked up a couple of more theorems, actually about 5 here. Reflexive property of congruence, the transitive property of congruence, the symmetric property of congruence. And I think we've probably worked with reflexive and transitive and symmetric enough for you to kind of easily grasp the idea of those theorems. And then there's the congruent supplements theorem and the congruent complement theorem. Now, the congruent supplements theorem would say that if the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 180 degrees, in other words, those two angles are supplementary, and if the measure of angle 2 and the measure of angle 3 are also supplementary, then the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 3 are going to be congruent. In other words, they have a common angle 2. And the same thing would hold true with the complementary theorem, and that is congruent complements theorem, which if the measure of angle 4 and the measure of angle 5 are equal 90 degrees, and then the measure of angle 5 plus the measure of angle 6 are also, if they also equal 90 degrees, then the measure of angle 4 and the measure of angle 6 are going to be congruent. Now let's look at what we have here in this object. I hope this doesn't mess up my animations. Here we see a couple of right angles. I can see that A, B, E, that's a right angle, and D, B, C is also a right angle. And well, let me just pull in some of the stuff here. So, if the figure, angle ABE and DBC, ABE and DBC, we've done that. If they are right angles, then prove that ABD and EBC are congruent. So we're looking to try to figure out that ABD, which is this angle, and EBC, which is this angle, that those are congruent. And it's going to fall into the congruent complements theorem. But let's just go through step by step. So, angle ABE and angle DBC are right angles. That's what was given to us. And the measure of angle ABE is 90 degrees. And the measure of angle DBC is equal to 90 degrees. That's the definition of a right angle. Right angles are 90 degrees. All right. Well, not bad. And therefore, the measure of angle ABD, that's what we marked in red right here, and the measure of angle DBE, that would be, let me get a good color here, and we'll do the black. That would be this angle here. Those are complementary because they're part of that overall angle ABE. Makes them complementary. And then the angle DBE, which is there in the black, and angle EBC, which is the second one down there in the red, those are also complementary because they make up that larger angle DBC. And so that's by the congruent complement theorem. So, therefore, we're making our proof statement that angle ABD is congruent to angle EBC, because angles complementary to the same angle or congruent angles are congruent. And so think about it here. If this whole ABE is 90 degrees and DBC is 90 degrees, and then what we're talking about that is in common, but we're not trying to prove, is this angle right here. Well, it's part of both right angles. And so it's got its own measure. These two angles are complementary. And then these two angles are complementary. And if I know what this angle is, then the remaining angles on either side of that, adjacent to that, both of which are part of different right angles, well, then obviously they must be congruent. Having fun yet? Saturday in the park. I think it was the 4th of July.